So thank you all for coming. Thank you for making some time to join us here and learn something today. Today is going to be filled with a lot of useful information that's going to help us start 2021 strong. We're already a month and a half in, so hopefully for the rest of the year we'll set ourselves up for success financially. I want to also say thank you to all the people who played a part in planning this event, those who sponsored this event. Huge shout out to you. We'll be hearing from them during the program. This event is going to be recorded, so it's going to be available on demand on our social media platforms. It's going to be available on YouTube, on our website after the event. So please, let your friends know if they're unable to join. That's not a problem. They'll be able to have access to all the goodies we'll be sharing today. Once again, I want to remind you all there's 4 $25 gift cards to be won today. So make sure you're here with your A game. I'm going to be sharing more details about how we can win those gift cards. So I'll set some ground rules. Pay attention. Pay attention to everything we'll be learning today. There's a lot to learn. Please stay muted at all times unless the host unmutes you. We already have questions that people put in during the registration process. However, if you have more questions during the webinar, please type them into the comment section. If we have some time at the end, we'll be answering them live. Otherwise, we'll be following up with you after the event. So with that being said, I am going to hand it over to our first sponsor for today's event, Soluble. So I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Danya Epowe to share with us for 2 minutes about Soluble. Danya, over to you.
For sure. Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you to everyone at MFH for setting this up and this unique opportunity and allowing me to share Soluble with you. So the motivation behind Soluble is really to ease the thinking around people's finances, to have them be secure in the knowledge that their money is working hard towards their goals, whatever they may be. Whether it's to set up routines, to send money directly to your savings or investment accounts in order to build your savings for you, or to just pay bills for you from credit cards to utility bills. Soluble still keeps you in the driver's seat by alerting you about the important stuff, like if there's an upcoming bill about to be charged to an account with insufficient funds, while also suggesting some steps to take to prevent any unexpected fees. Again, I'm super excited about getting a chance to tell you all about Soluble. But if you want to stay up to date with where we are, follow us on our socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Soluble, or take 5 seconds to sign up to get notified when we launch on our website at soluble.com, or you can just shoot me a message. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Danya. Thank you, Soluble, for sponsoring this event. Soluble has sponsored the first 2 gift cards that will be won today. All right, so for the main event of the day, I'm going to introduce our speakers. First up, we have Quincy Birch, who is a senior accountant at one of the global tech companies here in Ottawa, Midfield. He also holds a Master's of Science in Finance Management. And our second speaker for today is Lemuel, a serial entrepreneur who specializes in financial technologies. So please stay engaged in the talk today. If you have any questions that you forgot to ask during the registration, please feel free to put them in the comment section. If we have a chance, we'll go over them after we go through the questions that were asked during registration. So without much ado, over to Quincy and Lemuel.
Thanks, Omanini. I'll kick this off, and of course, over the course of the presentation, I'll hand off to our fintech entrepreneur to give us a broader perspective to things. So yeah, to start off, basically we'll be looking today at the subject financial intelligence, and as we see on the slide, it says financial intelligence, how to improve our financial health, because at the end of the day, if you have intelligence and you can't use that to keep yourself healthy, then it's not worth it, right? So really, we'll be looking at how to improve our financial health, and the hope is that by the end of this seminar, we would have the tools to keep us financially healthy, and for for ourselves to know, of course, especially, and everyone around us, inevitably, that we are financially intelligent. So yeah, second slide, please. So first thing we need to understand is that financial health is not the same thing as material wealth, and it's very easy to confuse the two. You know, to confuse financial health and material wealth, because we think that if we have 2,000 cars and 12 billion houses and studs on our teeth and chains and diamonds and all that, that really equals financial health. But that isn't necessarily the case, right? And it's just to set us a perspective so that we do not focus on the material side of things as our expectation for financial health. We should look more like other things that we're going to talk about as we go along. But yes, we should be looking at the things that make up intangible wealth, but like not the things that go beyond what we can feel and touch, because the things that we can feel and touch can easily go. And I'll just read for us a scripture, Matthew chapter 6, verse 19 and 20 and 21. So it says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be, or will be also." And I think that verse 21 is a very interesting one. It says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be," which means if you have, material possession, that's where your heart will be. And yeah, that's not necessarily bad until when you lose your material possession, and what that results in, again, inevitably, is that you'd have a heart attack and you die, which is really not health, right? And again, the focus is on health. Yeah. So the next scripture we'll be looking at is Proverbs chapter 23, verse 4 to 5. Sorry, I'm starting with scriptures. Oh, I shouldn't apologize, should I? It says, "Do not wear yourself out to get rich. Do not trust your own cleverness." Verse 5 says, "Cast but a glance at riches, and they are gone. For they will surely sprout wings and fly off to the sky like an eagle." So knowing that wealth is such a fickle thing, we should not have our focus really on that material side of things, but on staying financially healthy. And that has a lot more sustainability. And I'm sure we must have heard stories of people that have gone bankrupt and have been able to come back out of it very quickly. And of course, there are other people that go bankrupt and they stay bankrupt for the rest of their lives. That is where financial health really comes in. Those people that are able to come back and are able to, come back to material wealth are the ones that are financially healthy. But the ones that have the material wealth and lose it and can't come back are not financially healthy. And so, very important thing to note, when our definition of wealth is fully material, we are likely to steal. We're likely to steal, which means we're likely to do anything to make it happen. If we think, oh, if I don't have, 2 Lamborghinis and a couple Ferraris, you do anything to make it happen. You'd steal. I think one of the questions we saw had the option email scam as a side hustle. You do that sort of thing, and that obviously is not what we're supposed to do. And those are the things that get you into jail, and of course, make you materially unwealthy and show that you are not financially healthy. I think we can move to the next slide. So, our mindsets play a role in our finances. And if our mindset has been more on the side of material wealth, it obviously would lead to the things that we've talked about already. But then if we focus on our financial health, then we can start to grow from whatever level we are at now and reach the point of financial health that is stable and shows everyone that we have financial intelligence. Romans chapter 12 verse 2 says, don't change yourselves to be like the people of this world, but let God change you inside with a new way of thinking. Then you'll be able to understand and accept what God wants for you. You'll be able to know what is good and pleasing to him and what is perfect. And this also applies to our finances, right? So we are able to change our thinking through information and discipline. And of course, this is one of those avenues where being exposed to new information, especially what our fintech entrepreneur will be exposing to us in the latter part of this presentation. So it's one thing, information is one thing, because we can have all the information in the world, but then if we don't apply that information, if we don't apply ourselves to discipline to apply the information that we receive, then it's not going to make a difference. And it's possible that everything that we would say in this presentation you would have heard before, but then if you've heard all of these things before and you don't apply yourself to these things, it's not going to change your situation. It's not going to change your financial health. If you've heard before that it's not about the money, and you think these people are just lying, obviously you're going to continue to think it's just about the material wealth, and you continue to stay financially unhealthy. And when we are able to change our thinking and we're able to focus on the things that are important, then we switch from the focus on material wealth to financial health. And one of the key things that show that we are stuck on material wealth is thinking about financial security. Now, financial security is, I have a job, it gives me enough to pay my bills, I'm secure, everything is okay, I can get what I need, I can get what I want, I can travel, I can do this, I can do that, I'm secure, to the point where if I don't have what gives me that security, then I completely lose it. Let me explain that, because I think I might have lost a few people there. So security doesn't guarantee financial health. What we should be aiming for is financial freedom. Now, the difference between freedom and security is this. Security is, again, like in a job. I have a job, it pays me it gives me enough to get by, but then I'm securing that job as a permanent role. It gives me flexibility, gives me my insurance needs, protects my family, everything. But if anything happened to that job, then we're completely done for. And then we're starting from scratch. That is financially unhealthy. Financial freedom, on the other hand, is a point we reach where the returns on our investment can pay our bills. And what does that mean? It means, well, I have financial security in my job, but then I have other things that I'm doing on the side that help me to stay afloat, such that even if my job goes down for whatever reason, I mean, a lot of us must have seen what has happened to a lot of people last year, and I believe that God really protected us in this environment. But a lot of people had security in their jobs last year, and then obviously a lot of people just lost those securities. But if they were financially free, then those jobs would have gone, and investments would still be bringing in, what they need to take care of their rent, their feeding, and all that. And they wouldn't even care to just be, okay, I need to give myself 6 months to get something else going, or start a new stream of investments or something. But that's what financial freedom gives us. It gives us freedom, basically. And I think the important thing to note really is that there's no security in security. Sounds a bit counterintuitive, but it is the case. And again, we need to plan to change the way we work as we get older, because as we know, it gets to a point where legally you're expected to retire. So if you're hoping in financial security, then when you get to the point where that security is taken away from you legally, then you really suffer. I believe one of the questions we had in our little webinar game was asking what we would rely on when we retire, and the answer was savings and investments. So if we haven't got investments and savings that keep us financially free, then we'll get to retirement age and would struggle to survive, and that is not financial health. Next slide, please. So we must spend less than we earn. That is absolutely, it's a it's an absolute must. I don't know. I'm looking for the word qualified. There's no way you can be healthy financially if you spend more than you earn, which some people do. Don't ask me how. Or if you spend exactly what you earn. We need to be able to spend less than we earn. Well, no matter what it is we earn, if we earn $1 million a second, which some people do, if we earn $1,000 a month, we need to be able to spend less than we earn. And I'll read the scripture and then I'll continue. The wise man saves for the future, but the foolish man spends whatever he gets. Even the Bible says, don't spend whatever you get. You have to save for the future. It's an absolute must. It's an absolute necessity if we're to be financially healthy, if we're to survive, really. And the reason is this: when we learn to, well, it goes in two ways. When we learn to save from whatever it is we earn, then it gives us the opportunity to build and to be able to invest to earn more. And on the other hand, if we learn to spend everything we earn, what happens inevitably is that we would never have anything saved up and would really find it difficult to grow. And it really wouldn't matter how much you earn, right? Because no matter what you earn, you'd find a way to spend everything. It's a thing called the Parkinson syndrome that says when we rise to a new income level, we raise our spending to meet that level of earning. And so it's a mindset thing. It's a thing of the mind where we say to ourselves, well, yes, I earn $1,000 a month, which is barely enough. I mean, that's $12,000 a year. You don't even get taxed on that kind of income. That's how low it is. But when you have it in your mind that I have to save something, no matter how little from this, when you get to the point where you're earning $150,000 a year, your mind is in that default mode of thinking that says, I have to save something. And if you've been used to saving 10% and you can save 10% at 150,000, then what you have is 15,000 of savings. Obviously, at $100 of savings is a lot less than 15,000, but it's the mindset that matters, and that's what puts us in the position to grow. And a little trick that I learned to be able to do this is to imagine that we earn less than we earn, which is more easily said than done. But the truth is, if you earn $1,000 a month, you'd survive on the $1,000, right? But then if you earn $900, you'd also find a way to survive on the $900. So if you imagine that what you earned is actually less than what you earned in reality, then you would be able to put that aside. It's a thing where it's almost the way we're supposed to treat our tithes. You know, it's supposed to be the first of whatever we receive, and we put it aside. And that's what the really rich people who some of us aspire to be. Not everyone wants to be exceptionally rich, but that's what they do. They think about saving first. Or should I say the financially healthy people? Maybe that's a better way to put it. The financially healthy people think about saving first before they start to spend, right? And when we do this, it just gives us the thinking that, well, we don't have that money in any case, you know. And I think a few of us do it with investments. I think Lemon will get into that, where as it's coming into your account, like 10% is going out to some savings or some investment, and you just can't reach it till, you have something bigger to do with it. And that helps us to kind of stay within the budget of spending less than we earn. And it's very important, because if we don't learn it at the little points, at the little beginnings, then when we get to higher levels, we would really, really, really struggle. So just still on spending less than we earn, we shouldn't pursue public image at the expense of personal damage. A lot of the times when we spend, it's to impress people, to show that we're not really suffering, or so please don't look down on me. But when we understand what our goal is, we are able to stay within what would keep us healthy. But when we are pursuing that public image and trying to impress people that don't really care about us, we do that at the expense of our personal damage, and it has been damaging personally for a lot of people. Also, we shouldn't feel guilty for not being able to solve everyone's problems. A man of God, I believe it was Reverend Sam Adeyemi, said that, he puts it this way, really. He says, we are not El Shaddai, we're not God, so we can't be, we can't put ourselves in the position of God over other people. And he said that, that God said to him that if you pretend to be El Shaddai, you'll find out that your name is I shall die, because you just kill yourself trying to help everyone, and you just never would be able to help everyone, because even the Bible says there would always be poor in the land. So we need to have that, at the back of our minds, that, yes, as much as we want to keep something aside to help people, keep something aside to spend on our personal needs and our wants and all of that, we still need to keep something aside for savings to be able to continue to help people and to continue to be able to support ourselves. Very important. Yes, next slide, please. So not saving is a setup for poverty. Again, I think the scripture we already read says steady plodding brings prosperity. Hasty speculation brings poverty. Another version. That is very important. It's easier to free fall than it is to rise, right? We've seen it with the planes that have crashed. I mean, you take off, it's energy, the energy that you're required to take off is just, but to fall out from the sky is just, it's natural. That's gravity, and poverty operates on gravity, really. Next slide, please. So I think, oh, wait, previous slide, please. Oh, there's something missing here. Anyway, oh wait, next slide. Can I see the slide after this, please? Okay, great. Increasing income, please. So some financial goals may require financial growth. We can use the extra income or extra money to increase our income. That's Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 6. And what it is this. This is really the entry point into investment. If we earn money and we're in the position of financial security, which, like I said, is not secure, and when we're spending as much as we earn all the time, or spending more than we earn, so we're relying on credit here and there, and taking credit to pay off credit and all that, which, by the way, is a reality for a lot of people. I have a friend who works at a payday loan place, and she says that people come in with their checks just to pay off their paychecks, to pay off the last credit, and then they're taken right away on the next pay. And obviously they're taking this at like really high interest rates, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So it's a reality to live above your means. But even if we're living within our means, the point is we don't get to the point where we can save and invest some of those savings and diversify our security portfolio. And again, that is a very insecure place to be, and it's not financially healthy. So there's this thing I came across a while ago, which is on the next slide. And I think it kind of depicts how to succeed. It's called football finance, and in North America they'll probably call it soccer finance. And what it is understanding that there are three aspects to our financial health, right? And if we can manage these three aspects properly, kind of like a football team, then we're able to win games and win championships and titles. And we see two formations here, and basically what it talks about is, you know, having defense, a midfield, and an attack. And that's how, you know, that's how teams set up to win games. So the defense tries to shut out goals from coming into their own net. The midfield supports the defense and also supports the attack in trying to score goals, and the attack scores the goals, right? And to equate that with financial tools, right, so to speak, the defense line will be our expenses, the midfield will be our savings, and the attack will be the investment. And to describe this, really, what it is our expenses will be our last line of will be our defense, really, last line in the field. And if we don't have our expenses in check, then we'll be leaking a lot of goals. So what that looks like is, if you just spend on whatever you see and you don't have a prudent way to your spending, then you'd leak a lot of goals. And any football manager, any football enthusiast would tell you that if you concede a lot of goals, then you make your task of winning a lot more difficult. Now, to the midfield, the different aspects of the midfield: the attacking midfielders, the defensive midfielders, and the central midfielders. And the defensive midfielders support the defense. So like they're like the part of the midfield that just tries to make the work of the defense easier. So what that means is you have savings for the rainy day. So for some people that lost their jobs last year, they had savings that were sufficient for them to sustain themselves through the period before they got another job. That's the defensive midfielder there. That savings there that protects you for the rainy day. But then there's the attacking midfielders, right? That supports you for when you want to make investments. So to buy a house, you need to be able to put down a down payment, right? If you don't have savings and you're hoping to, you know, even if you earn $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year, that only translates to maybe what's that in a month? Sam, what's that in a month, please?
You're looking at around $10,000 a month.
$10,000 a month. If you're to put even 5% down to buy a house, $10,000 being 5% really would only get you what, a $50,000 house, which is probably a house somewhere in the jungles of the Amazon forest in Brazil, and you're not even sure you get something decent, right? So to be able to put down the down payment for a house, you need maybe about $100,000, $50,000, $80,000, depending on how expensive the house is, right? But then if you're relying on your paycheck, it's not going to happen, right? So you need to have savings on the side to be able to, you know, invest in that sort of thing. Of course, the different sorts of investments. You might be wanting to do a business. Again, our fintech entrepreneur will be taking us into that. I don't want to get into details of that. But whatever investments you want to do, you need the savings to do that. And of course, the attackers don't get the ball unless the attacking midfielders, you know, assist them with the ball. And that's the role of attacking midfielder. Of course, the central midfielders that just kind of act as like the buffer between attack and defense, where, you know, there's just savings there that just stay there for a rainy day, for attack, for investments, just there, just in the middle, and can go both ways. Finally, the attack. The attack is where you score all your goals, right? So your investments. And every team plays with attackers, right? I know, you know, there was a time Barcelona was playing with false nines and whatnot and no real striker, but they still had a striker, so to speak. So and they still had attacking players, really. So what it is without investments, you can't score goals and you can't win games. You might have a draw, but you still can't win games. And we might have heard this saying before, that attack is the best form of defense, really. So if you have, you know, investments left, right, and center, you're more likely to win a game than if you don't. But we need to be very cautious with the way we do this. So I have two illustrations here, and it's not exhaustive, but on the left, we see a 4-4-2 formation. That's starting from the defense. So 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 2 attackers. And what this is a greater emphasis on the defense, right, than the attack. So you're like, hey, I don't want any issues. I'm going to try to make sure that my current debts are paid off as much as possible. Of course, I'm going to have savings, but then I'm being cautious with my investments. I'm not just throwing everything out there and, leaving caution to the wind. And we have on the right, the 3-4-3. There's more, attacking going on. There's more investments going on than, watching the expense. And some people do this where they throw everything up. And it used to be the way to play football actually in the mid 20th century, where you're playing with like 6 attackers and you're just putting 2 defenders back. The problem with that is if there's any sort of counter attack, so if your investments should fail, which tends to happen, then you have no defense, you have no safety net, right? And you could get into a lot of trouble. And at the same time, if you want to defend too much, so like you don't have any investments and you just think, I'm just going to play with, 3 rows of defense, right? Which some people do in real football today. But what that does is it puts you under a lot of pressure, which means, you're just under a lot of pressure from the opposing attack, which is in this context, real life. If something just goes wrong with your security, then you're gone, right? You're conceding goals and then you're not likely to win. So it's really about finding that balance between our expenses, our savings, and our investment to be able to succeed, not concede goals, score goals, and win in life. And I think that really just takes us really into investments with
I think you got. I don't know if you're talking, but that was really crucial stuff that Quincy brought up about the main foundation. And I think, like, just to reiterate what Quincy says, like, especially if we do not take anything out of this lesson, just the fact that we can lay a solid foundation by just putting our expenses in check, having the right savings, and laying like the right ground to invest the right will be sufficient just for the talk already. And I'll just briefly just mention about like investment and in the light of increasing our income, because the reason you're investing is for a way to increase your income, or the way, and investment in general, like both from building houses to building businesses to whatever form of investment you think investment is. And again, disclaimer, like, feel free to to not use my word as gospel, please, because I'm going to be talking from experience, talking from what I have seen, what I have done, and pretty much mostly what I have done, not even what I have read and how it's worked for me. And you can feel free to take it, look at your own situation and be like, yeah, works for you, but it does not work for me. Or you can basically look at it and okay, how can I do what I learned from both Quincy and Lanwell today and apply it to my own life? And also, which I also encourage you to do, is go ahead and like research more. I think the talk should be more of like something that sparks you to go and research, read books, and talk to professional advisors as to how you can ask the right questions to them, basically. So when it comes to creating a means to increase your income, I think of it in three. I think of 3 broad ways where in ways we can increase our income, right? And I've sort of highlighted them here in order of difficulty, in my opinion, right? So there's the generic investment, there's education, and there's also side hustle, which you can think of as starting a business. And when it comes to investment, and Quincy also talked about it, like it's a form of attack. The reason why there's investment, and I'm talking about just generic buying of assets and hoping those assets appreciate over time, and then the difference being a source of income. The reason why people do that is because in this part of the world, the generic checking or savings account basically does not keep up with the inflation of money. So the way you want to think of it is, if I just take all my income and put all my savings in my checking account, no checking account will give you any sort of interest on that money. Basically, they'll give you like 0.0 something % on your checking account. However, like you would like in recent times, the value of money actually depreciates faster than that, right? So the value of money depreciates about 2 to 3%. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably like not an economist here, but that's pretty much the average range at which inflation depreciates the value of money. So what that means is the money that if I just leave $100 in my checking account, and as I'm talking and I'm putting out terms, if you don't understand, please just type in the chat below. I know I don't understand what this guy is saying. Please break it down, and I would happily go back and reiterate. But back to the reason for why the generic investment is crucial is because if I just left $100 in my checking account 5 years ago, what $100 could buy 5 years ago would probably not be the same today, right? If I could buy $100, if I could buy the latest phone with $100, and then I'm like, all right, let me save that $100, so in 5 years I can still use $100 to buy you would realize that the value of that $100 is no longer able to acquire the latest phone. You can think about it in a lot of different ways, right? The value of money depreciates because of inflation rates. So you would want to either find a high interest savings account, which is pretty much less risky than most of the investment account that gives you about 2% rates or 3% rate that sort of keeps up with inflation. So that what that means is like you're just basically barely beating the inflation of money. Or you want to find high yielding stocks or bonds or GICs and so on and so forth. So on a high level, ways to supplement your income through investment, through education, through side hustles. I think education is one of the most underrated aspects of this, because it's something that people just think about like as the last resort, right? They don't think about how powerful education is. Education can help you change careers, can help you grow within your career. Education is even what we're doing here in financial intelligence. It can help you learn a little bit more about finances and ask the right question. When I started my financial health journey, I literally did not know what I was doing. I was lucky enough to the only thing I knew was, oh, my dad talked about mutual funds in Nigeria. And when I came here, I just went to the bank. They're like, oh, can I open a mutual funds account? And the bank guy will not tell me what's in my best interest, right? Because they don't have a fiduciary duty to their clients, right? So they pretty much would sell me what would make them the best commission and that's some things I learned later on. And I was lucky to go to a tax clinic where the lady that was doing my tax for doing taxes for low-income individuals basically was like, here's your tax returns, make sure you go put the money you get from your tax returns in an Rrsp or in a TFSA. And I was like, wait, what is that? And then I started thinking, and that's where I started researching and learning a little bit more. So let's go into investments and quickly discuss what an investment is, right? An investment is pretty much allocating money with an expectation of some profit in the future, right? So when you're discussing monetary investments, so for monetary investments, we should be really, really careful here, right? So not everybody should just start after this talk. Oh, what's the next investment I should go and do? Lemuel says there's money to be made, so I'm going to throw all my money. No. Pump the brakes. There are a couple of things that Quincy mentioned in the previous slides that you should basically look at, especially when you're looking at financial health in general. Like paying off your debt is a very, very good form of investment. It's actually one of the best forms of investment, because if you think about credit card debts and high interest debts, you're basically gaining about 19% compounding interest when you look at it, right? So paying off your credit card, paying off your high interest loans. I mean, low interest loans like mortgages and 0% loans may not be that urgent, but you should still take care of those. But when it comes to monetary investment, the best form of investment is actually paying off any high interest debt, any debt that is above 5% or 7%. Look at how to, because it will be hard to find investments that can give you like interest rates of 19%, of 20%. Like you would even like most of the hedge fund guys will probably never promise you that, right? So paying off your debt is very crucial. Having savings emergency savings that puts you in case anything happens, that can cover the cost of 3 months, 4 months, like Quincy mentioned, is crucial. And then once you have all that in check, any other money, you're pretty much, your investment should be pretty much playing with house money, but being like smart about it and knowing like what I'm preparing for your retirement and like future income and even like short-term income too, right? So that's on a high level, I cannot, there are a lot of things I can talk about that I'm probably going to miss, but depending on the questions, I'll probably like answer them as they come. But when it comes to making new money from income to investment, we're in a place where we have a high standard of living. The government of Canada would always come to the table when there's new money, which is good, right? And we're pretty much like should be enthusiastic to talk with the government of Canada. How can I support the high standard of living that Canada has provided? Well, it's all about taxes, right? So from income, you get taxed. And now from investment, you also get taxed, right? So you get taxed on what is called the capital gains investment. So you see the money that you put in $100, or you bought Lemuel Incorporated stock for $100. 5 years later, Lemuel Incorporated is now Warren Buffett Incorporated, and you're now like the stock is worth $1,000. So you have a capital gains of about $900. The government basically comes to the table and is like, okay, how do we talk about this $900 that you just made in new money, and it's taxed? However, like most people, like when I basically opened the mutual fund, I was not told, I did not know about this. And it's not a bad thing for me to like give the government of, I give like, it's not, but then there are also avenues that the government of Canada gives to like beginner, like investors or beginner people that are trying to save money with as little money as possible. And there are two main vehicles that are popular when it comes to investments: the TFSA, like we saw in our quiz, and the Rrsps. So TFSA, like the quiz told us, is tax-free savings account. Rrsp is registered retirement savings plans. There's a lot that we can cover in those two things. That's like, we really don't have a lot of time to discuss about this, but I will be as brief as possible when it comes to both vehicles. First of all, the way you want to look at these things are as vehicles that the government provides you. And it basically says, hey, Lemuel, here is one vehicle called the TFSA. Take this vehicle and put it over any sort of savings or investments accounts, and we're not going to like you're not going to, the capital gains is all yours. Basically, you have 100% control on what the capital gains happens to be in that account. I think the word savings does it a bit of injustice, because again, if you put your TFSA over your checking account, there's literally no capital gains, and you're just like you're just using the vehicle that the government has provided for something that does not really make any capital gain. So you want to be really strategic as to what account you decide to put a TFSA in. It's really like, one thing I usually suggest is from short to long, like short to medium term investments should be in a TFSA, right? So things that you would need in 5 years, 3, 5, 6 years, things that you need to withdraw. And then there's some gotchas when it comes to, like, the government is not just providing you like tax-free vehicles for you to basically use at your like an abuse, right? So there are basically checks to prevent people from abusing these vehicles. Again, like I mentioned, and as the site says, there are no capital gains tax on your growth. The money can be withdrawn at any time, but there's a limit. I can't just basically say, because I want to avoid all the capital gains in this world, I'll take all my wealth and basically go and deposit in a tax-free savings account and keep on growing my wealth, and the government of Canada will not come and basically call the police to my house and basically ask for some investigation, right? No. So there are limits to what can be contributed. It's meant to help people start up in a financial healthy manner. It's meant for a way for you to set up your financial health without having any worry about, oh, what should I file for taxes? It's basically, right now, every year there's a limit to how much you can put a year. And if you have not contributed in the previous years, you can accumulate all that. And right now it's about 70,000 you can accumulate into a TFSA, right? So the government is like, feel free to put $70,000 if you have not ever done it in a TFSA account. And whatever that amount turns out to be in the future, keep all of it. We're not going to discuss. You don't have to talk about it on your taxes, except you contribute more than you should have. That's a lot. And I'm hoping that you all are writing a lot of questions as I'm saying for me to clarify, because I'm basically going as quickly as possible. So TFSA is really good for things that are short term. I'm traveling out once Corona lifts off its eyes off of me. When the COVID, once everything is open, I'm traveling. So I need to save for traveling in like next year or 2 years from now. A TFSA is a good thing. I'm trying to save for a house. I'm trying to save for a car. I'm trying to save for a big purchase. A TFSA is a good thing to use as a vehicle of investment, because remember, like, if you put just the money that you're saving for future big purchases like houses, cars, vacations in like just a checking account or a low interest savings account, that money is losing a lot of value. So just be careful with that you're using a TFSA on a like even a conservative investment account, a low risk investment account is what I should use, is a smart choice. All right, so I'll move on to the RSP, which is the second vehicle, and then we'll move on to other forms of investments. The RSP is a bit tricky. I usually say, like, especially if you don't have, especially if you like, depending on your tax bracket, you would want to focus more on getting just using the TFSA initially before moving on to an RSP, because they're a bit tricky and it's something that you should research and basically be super sure and aware of what is going on. But the RSP is intended for retirement. So long-term account is what the goal here is, right? So you're pretty much putting out, the government is, the way the RSP works is the money you contribute this year reduces your taxable income, and so the government gives you tax refunds because you've contributed money into your RSP. So that's how the tax burden works. But unlike a TFSA, the TFSA, you're depositing money that has already been taxed. So they already taxed me for my income. I'm taking that money and I'm putting in a TFSA. In an RSP, the government is like, I'm not going to tax your income because that income is going to an RSP. And then when you withdrawing that RSP, that's when the taxes at that time come about. So it's a bit tricky as to when to use the RSP. Usually, because it's intended for retirement, the assumption is you're going to be retiring with no income. So your income at retirement is a bit low. So the taxes at retirement will be low, versus now when you have a lot of money and income, your taxes are high. So by putting those in an RSP, you're basically reducing your taxes now, and also like withdrawing at a lower point where your taxes are low. So it's a bit of gymnastics there. I'm happy to spend more time to discuss about this if people really want to hear more as to what it is. But any RSP contribution you make reduces your taxable income, right? So the funds can only be withdrawn early to buy a house or pay for education. So there are a bit more restrictions as to when you can withdraw. If you're not yet retired and you try to withdraw from your RSP, you're going to be getting that same income. The taxes you dodged will just come back to you immediately, right? But something I want to mention here that is really important, like even though you don't understand RSP, I usually encourage people that if your employer offers matching contribution, please read more about it, talk to your advisors, and utilize such matching contributions, because you're leaving money on the table. I'm lucky enough to work at a company where my employer basically matches any contribution I make to my RSP. And what that means is, like outside of my income, the employer will basically say, oh, because I'm saving for my retirement, here's some more money for you to save for your retirement. And if I am not making use of those benefits, I'm pretty much not taking as much money as I take from my employer. So please talk to your advisors, look at your situation. If your employer is matching, if you can afford to contribute some money so that your employers can match, and if your employers are matching, please make use of that match program, because it could be money you're leaving. It could be money that you're leaving on the table. All right. Enough about investment, and my favorite part of it is learning, right? Learning as a form of investment, education as a form of investment. Education has been so huge for me and a lot of people, where like in my current, depending on your career, and you're looking at, remember we talked about, you already have a predetermined set of income because of your job position or the company you work at. But when you educate yourself by getting new certificates where you are currently working, by trying to learn something new, you could increase your primary source of income. You could also use your new learnings to get a secondary source of income. And it's really huge, because I remember when I was in school, I didn't do any core program. So what I was doing was tutoring. I was teaching math and sciences. And one of the ways, while I was teaching and I was making some money, and I really thought I wanted to increase my income, the next thing I did was find out what else I can learn so that I can increase my income. I was lucky and fortunate to learn how to program and code while I was in school, outside of my main program. And what that did, it provided more avenues for me to make more money, or even provided more avenues for me to go to a better paying job, right? So instead of, and I think it's really crucial, just by spending some time taking, like the lockdown period for 2020, a lot of people have used that whole year 2020 that was sort of thrown away to learn something new, to learn new skills, to improve their skills and move on to a different career.
Yeah, the driver is listening to you. Here is here. Driver is.
So when it comes to learning new things, I usually encourage take an hour each day to research something of interest. Take an hour each day, especially if you don't know what to learn. For me, it started off like by researching, how is a website made, or what are the opportunities out there for what are some financial opportunities out there from an investment perspective. And that's how I started learning about things relating to finances or things relating to programming, right? You could take those learnings and either, if they're interesting to you, further that research, or you could already be in a career, you could already be a sales person, you could already be a project manager, you could already be a manager. You could learn, what other certifications could I get, what other skills could I get, because the truth is, the only thing that's constantly changing in the world, the only thing that's constant is change, right? So always being up to date with what's changing in our place of work can help us be relevant in new companies, in our current role, for promotions, and so on and so forth. And then once we learn, we should try to integrate what we learn at work, as a side hustle, which is what I'm going next to. The side hustle, starting a business. Like I said, investment is pretty easy because with little or no money, you can start an investment. You can start contributing to or buying stocks and bonds and ETFs and so on and so forth. Learning is a bit more difficult because it requires time. So if you're someone that does not have a lot of time, then it might be difficult for you to start to learn something new. But I still encourage you to try to find as much time, an hour a day, to progress in your learning. But starting a business has to do with a bit of both. You need a little bit of money and you need a little bit of time, but it's the most adventurous way to increase your income, because from a side hustle, you could easily double your income. You could do something that, if you have the time and if you have a little bit of capital, you can provide services to a lot of more people that can increase your income, right? So you should not undermine like what you can do to provide services for people. So take a look at your hobbies. Do you already enjoy doing something great, right? Do you already enjoy cooking? Do you already enjoy taking pictures? Do you already enjoy talking? Do you already enjoy teaching people, right? Those are things. Again, when I was in school, I thought I really enjoyed tutoring people. And the first thing I did was like, while I'm still in school, I'm just going to go to KGG or Craigslist at the time, and basically say, hey, if anyone needs a tutor for mathematics, here's my phone number, here's my email. I literally just did that, and I did not know that that was going to be possible. And then later on, I started getting calls from different parents around the city to come around and help them with tutoring. And that was my side hustle that helped me like just make a little bit of income on the side while I was in school, right? Same thing with a lot of friends I've seen, like some people basically know how to create what's it called, wigs, and people just put up their wigs on stores and sell it to their friends, and people make a lot of money, right? So a side hustle is something that it doesn't have to be a product, it could be a service, right? You could basically say, I know how to play an instrument. Is there any band out there that's looking for me to play an instrument? And I'll go and making some money on the weekends by playing instruments around the city. Or I know how to make I know how to knit, I know how to make bean bags, I know how to create, I know how to do like graphics designs. A lot of those are products that you could use to start a side hustle. But when you're starting a growing side hustle, you should not be afraid to start small. Starting small is actually the best thing, especially when you have a primary source of income. It usually helps to start small and then grow. It usually helps to find, and also helps if what you're starting, there's a market for what you're about to start, right? It's always advisable to not just start and hope the market comes. It's like, first of all, look, are people looking around for tutorials? Are people looking around for free food? I'm always looking for free food. So if you want to be selling free food to me, feel free to reach out. But are people looking around for, well, if it's free food, I don't know if you'll be making a lot of money. So you really want to charge me a bit. But yeah, like, don't be afraid to start small. Don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to start with anything that you love doing. The key is to make sure you love what you're doing too. If you don't love what you're doing, you're just putting yourself in a double predicament, because you're already doing a 9 to 5 and you're then coming back to do something that I really don't like to do. So again, I'll just go over everything I've said in an idea of a balanced diet, right? From a balanced diet perspective, we want to get to a stage where our money can increase without our direct input. And that's how you build financial health, right? It's not a situation where I'm not working. I really thought that for me to be wealthy, I don't have to work. Then I realized a lot of people that are wealthy are actually working 12 midnight to 12 midnight. It's to get to a point where I choose to do what I want to do because I love what I do, right? So here is what I love to do. And regardless of what I'm doing, there's always resources to cover my primary needs. There's always resources to help me spend on a few other ones. And there's always research to pass on to the next generation, right? So you need to realize the 9 to 5 could just be one source of income amongst others. You could have investments income, you could have side hustle incomes. And most of all, you should educate yourself as to how you can grow within your 9 to 5 and increase your income, right? You can create wealth and there are many ways to make money by doing what you're doing. And it just might take some thinking, some creativity, and taking some time out of your day to find out how you can increase your wealth. I've given some ideas as to how I did it. It may or may not be applicable to you. I hope it is, but I also hope that it sparked some interest for you to go ahead to do some more research and basically I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with. Thank you for spending and listening to an hour-long talk. I will hope there are a lot of questions.
Thank you so much, Quincy and Lemuel. That was definitely very informative. We do have a lot of questions, so we'll try to go through them as quickly as possible. So to start, the first question I have here is, what can one do if they genuinely feel like their cost of living exceeds their income? So Quincy, I'll have you answer this one first. Quincy, we cannot hear you. All right, so while Quincy is figuring out the audio, oh, looks like he's good. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
okay, super.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's a very good question, and can be the reality that we face, right? It's difficult to say because, you know, I've been in that position before, but I'm not in that position right now, thank God. But it's easier to say, yeah, just find a way around it and blah blah blah. But the truth is, there's always something that you can cut off your expenditure diet, so to speak. There's always something that is not, I mean, that might be a need, a necessity, but then you can find a way to, you know, put it at a lower, you know, point. And again, it's very hard. But then I've seen examples of like really inspiring stories of like people that have done this and have had to make that move from, you know, just spending what they earn, even when what they earn is not even enough, like not close to being enough. And I'll tell a short story. There was this guy who literally got 20 naira to start trading ice blocks. This is in Nigeria, right? And how much can you make from trading ice blocks 20 naira? Like it blows my mind, right? But he found enough to save to increase the level of his business, and he started to trade eggs and bread. And from that money, he sent himself to school and was even trying to put his siblings through school. And he got through school, got through university, and finally got a job with MTN. And that's where things like really like turned around. And honestly, I've not had like a sit down with him to say, wait, Chairman, how did you do this? Like, what is it? But the truth is, yeah, it's a necessity, for example, to eat 3 times a day. For example, right? That's a very simple example. But if you are chasing something that's way bigger than you and you have to forego 2 of those meals, by all means do that. And that's like, I think that's the simplest way I can put it, because the truth is there's always going to be an excuse. Like if you earned 150K, there's going to be an excuse for why what you earn would not be enough. Like I'm being perfectly honest with you. But there are people like Arnold Schwarzenegger entered the US with $20 and became a governor after a while. He wasn't spending everything he was earning. I can tell you that categorically. There was the guy that gave the speech at my graduation for my master's, an Indian guy, came from India with nothing. But then he had won, like at the time, 6 Queen's Awards for Enterprise Excellence because he had started a business and had grown it to the point where the Queen acknowledged him, an immigrant in the UK. So the thing is, it's going to be tough. And maybe that's the thing that we didn't hammer on. Financial health, being healthy in general is not the easiest way to go. You know, where you have to decide, oh, I'm not going to eat what I want to eat, what I like, because it's going to affect my health. That's not the easiest thing to do. But then when you find a way to get around that, then you're able to stay healthy. And it's the same thing that sort of applies to financial health. When you're able to, have that mindset that, you know what, it's not going to be easy. It's not as easy as, okay, I'm assuming I earn less. That's why I said it's not the easiest. It's more easily said than done. But then if you can enter that mindset, you just find that within a year, it's like you've adapted to it. But then not just that, you've grown to another level where you can still have that mindset, but then have a higher level of expenditure because you have a higher earning level or capacity. So
yeah,
to put it simply, yeah, just it's tough. It's going to be tough, but then you have to just make up your mind and have that mindset shift that I have to do it.
All right. Thank you so much. I think you touched on a few things there. It's definitely going to be a tough journey. There's also going to be the need for you to increase your level of income, which might mean starting a side hustle. I think of the parable of the talents where, you have one talent, but you can also, trade that one talent to get more.
I was also going to just give a practical example also where like you could, there are things like the gig economy is actually a really good way you can use to increase your income. So even if you don't want to start the side hustle, but there are a lot of things where you can, it's called the sharing economy, things like Uber, like Instacart, like
Lyft and Uber Eats,
basically a lot of things that you could do, or even like Airbnb, where it's like renting out a room on Airbnb. So a lot of things that you can basically do to supplement your income. You don't have to start a whole business and write a business plan. A lot of people have already set up ways for you to do share income.
Definitely. And just a heads up to anybody who might have a question, please just type it in the comment section, so we'll take a look at it. Lemuel, the next question is for you. It's on the topic of side hustles. Like if I have a hobby that I don't necessarily want to capitalize on, in the search of a side hustle, how do we draw the line between keeping my hobby a hobby versus turning it into a side income?
So I don't know if that's a trick question in the sense that like if you want to make money and you don't have any other, like, are you asking like, is there any other thing I can do to make money outside of my hobby? Is that the question? Or
I think you already kind of answered this particular question with maybe taking part in the gig economy. If you're just looking for something else to make extra income, I don't have any more context to the question than what I have in front of me.
Exactly. So if you like, again, like if you don't want to capitalize on your hobby, that's fine. But like you can basically keep it to your hobby. But if you're looking to increase your income, you can also find something else to be doing and then keep your hobby. Like, but most of the time, you would find out that it's what you love doing the most, and you can do it for free. That's where like most of like your second source of income is. So I would encourage you to not feel free to do it for free, feel free to do it for freemium, feel free to still do it, but don't be shy to basically, if someone in Vancouver wants you to come and do the same hobby, and you say, oh, well, it's my hobby, I don't want to do it. But I would say like just be open-minded into like the idea of capitalizing on your hobby. It does not have to be evil in the sense of the word, like, or greedy in the sense of the word, but still be open-minded as to like, that's the best way to have financial health, when you're making income on what you love doing versus what you're like, not necessarily forced to do, but what you have to do, right? I don't know if that helps at all.
Hopefully it does. I have another question still in line with entrepreneurship. This question says, in a developed economy like Canada, is there room for innovation and entrepreneurship?
Definitely.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for innovation and entrepreneurship. And I basically, I may have undermined what an entrepreneur can do by saying it's a side hustle, starting small, but best believe you can go big. Remember, I said like the reason I put side hustle at the bottom is the difficulty in, from my own point of view, that requires time and money. If you have time and money, there's no point of use like basically trying to do just a simple hobby. If you wanted to do something that's innovative, you have the time, you have the money, and you have the knowledge. There are a lot of programs that allow you to do that. And I can basically, from my own experience, I was lucky also enough to be part of the University of Ottawa, where they had a whole entrepreneurship hub. So I was like, again, I was blessed, in fact, where like I just stumbled into like a weekend where everybody was basically building apps and like websites, and I had already started learning, and I just showed up. I was like, oh yeah, I already know how to learn. Who here is looking to build stuff? And then we just basically built products and services, and from there I got to know that there were like resources from like the university, from the government of Ottawa, from Ontario, Invest Ottawa, people that were willing to invest in people that are building things innovative. Like best believe there are a lot of like they're called venture capitals, angel investors that are literally looking to put their money where someone that's doing things innovative and entrepreneurial. You just have to, one, have the time, you have to have a little bit of capital and be willing to go on the adventure. It's adventurous, but if you're someone that's up for an adventure, I think being an entrepreneur, starting a side hustle would be the best way to go. But if you're a bit more like conservative like me, and you want to like hold on to some more secure jobs, you may want to start something small. But trust me, don't basically use my bias to prevent you from doing things. That there are a lot of opportunities, and feel free to reach out, and I can let you know like a lot of other things that's that can be done from an innovative entrepreneurial standpoint. Quincy, I don't know if you had anything to add on.
I was just going to say, I think I lost my train of thought now, but I was going to say as well that oh geez, I've forgotten what I was going to say. You know, if I remember, I'd say just, yeah, but really
No
good
worries.
point. Yeah.
Quincy, well, the next question is for you. What's the best way to set my children up for success? From using your football finance analogy, how can I help them, or any other analogies?
Okay. A great question. Maybe something that should have been said earlier is that's another way to invest in your children, right? And I think we kind of take it for granted, but investment in children is investment, and you can't do it without a savings, and you can't do it if you're spending everything you earn, unless you're looking at that as part of everything you earn, right? because when you invest in your children, they get to a point where they can take care of you, and yeah, for example. But in terms of taking care of your children, I think there are a number of vehicles that the government of Canada has in place for children, right? There's the RESP, which is a Registered Educational Savings Program. And what that does is it allows you to put some money aside on a monthly basis, or should I say on a yearly basis. And the government also tries to match some of the money you put in, and then it's invested and it yields a return such that when your child is ready to go to university, you're not having to scramble to find, you know, for the ones that would be going to Harvard, for example, 60, 70K in US dollars to send them to school. You have some of the money there that you can just plow into their education. So because education is a huge investment, especially for our children, that's one thing that you can do for your children. Also, I mean, a lot of the things that I know about managing money, I learned from my dad, you know, from the lessons he learned. And, you know, that's one other thing we can do, you know, as we teach them, as we train them, also train them in financial intelligence and in financial health. Yeah. So I think there are a number of ways. I mean, obviously, what I've said is not exhaustive, but those are a couple of things that come to mind immediately.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm sure we'll all go back and do some more research. I want to stay with you, Quincy. Though, you had read a couple Bible verses at the beginning, so I think you might be good to answer this question. Someone is asking a question about honesty, in terms of, you know, building wealth and growing a side hustle and things like that. How do we balance the I guess like an ethical, moral, spiritual basis in all of that?
Okay, yeah, also very important. And again, like I said, one of the reasons why we have to manage our financial health as against material wealth is so that we can stay honest. When it's about material wealth, then we're very likely to become dishonest. We're likely to do whatever it takes to be materially wealthy. But when we're focused on our financial health, what it is you want something sustainable. You want something where your heart is not always on edge because you're thinking, oh my God, is that the 5-0 coming from me? Or am I in trouble? Did the CRA finally find out that I've been evading taxes? Have I been doing this the wrong way? When you do everything legitimately, but you can still grow in your wealth, that is financial health. So honesty is actually integral to this. Because you want to stay honest, you're doing all the things that you need to do. You're managing your expenses wisely. You're spending less than you earn to stay honest. Then you're saving so that when you need to do something big, you can stay honest. Or when you lose your security, you can stay honest with your, you know, savings for the rainy day. So all of this actually helps us stay honest. So honesty is in all of it, if I can put that simply.
All right, sounds good. So we'll take 2 more questions. I want to have time for us to give out our second 2 gift cards. Lawan, the first one will be for you. How can I build credit or a good credit history without using a credit card if I'm trying to stay within my my means?
Yeah, these are really good questions. And we didn't touch about credit, and that's probably like an omission on our part, but building credit without using a credit card. Yes, so the government just allowed using your rent to be reported to the credit bureau this was I think end of last year. So being like on time with your rent and your phone bills actually go a long way to building a credit history, right? So for like the government has allowed those to be reported to the credit bureaus to help you build credits. And there's a neo bank called Coho that is also allowing you to use some sort of monthly payments to be reported to the credit bureau. Building credit is all about making sure that the credit bureau has details as to if you are credit worthy but again, most of those things are may not. Okay, here's where I'll basically put a disclaimer. I do not know because I've used credit cards to build credit history. I've used loans to build credit history. So I do not know how effective those are. Credit cards are not they are not evil, but I think if you are wise about, you could actually get a credit card and put money in it and spend it. You don't have to borrow the money from the credit card. So you could deposit your money into your credit card and spend that money. But again, if you think you're not cautious about like the excessive, or the predatory nature of the banks when it comes to credit cards, I hear you. Please it's better to just have a very small, clean credit history than to fall into the trap of like credit card payments and trying to come out of it. So again, your rent and your phone bills are already being reported to the credit bureau as of end of last year, and that should already be helping you build your credit history. But if you're looking for like a big splash, I'm not sure if that will be enough. That's the only thing I'm not sure of. So feel free to do more research on that.
All right, sounds good. Quincy, I'll let you add on to that. I also want to add on the next question for you there, which is asking about more about financial security and which is more secure, I guess, using tax incentives or improving on savings for businesses and mortgage.
Okay, yeah. I'll just quickly add to what Lemon was talking about, and then I'll answer that question. So in terms of, I think another trick that I learned from a very wealthy person, a financially healthy person, in the UK was they didn't like the idea of credit cards either, because they just thought, it's just an opportunity to lose money and pay those high interest rates. But I think the biggest thing to a credit card is spend only what you have. So if they've given you a $4,000 limit, but in that month you only have 1.5, don't go and carry the 4,000 and spend and say, well, they gave me the credit, I'll pay the minimum balance. Spend, if you have 1.5, just make sure you keep it within the 1.5. And when I say you have 1.5, I mean you've saved already and then you have 1.5 to spend. Keep it within the 1.5, and then pay your bills on time. Pay the whole amount at once, like whatever is the statement balance. Don't pay the minimum balance, because they charge an interest on whatever is not part of that's not paid on the balance. So you don't have to pay the whole card at once, but you should pay the whole statement balance at once, and then try to keep it cyclical. But again, it really requires a lot of discipline and timeliness in payment. But it's important. I think it's important in building really good credit history. And on whether tax incentives or savings are great for businesses or mortgages, that's an interesting one. I think that the tax incentives are savings based, so in a sense it's kind of intertwined, right? So like if you have the registered retirement savings plan that gives you tax incentives, it's still a savings plan. It's a form of savings. It's just, it helps you to minimize your tax payments in the current year and, kind of defer those tax payments till you retire. Lamla explained a little bit about that, where your income is expectedly going to be lower. So it still really requires you saving. But if you find that you're not entirely disciplined, maybe the tax incentives would be a great way to prepare for businesses, or, well, basically maybe more. I don't know about how it works with businesses, but definitely mortgage. I know that for your first house, you can take out of your Rrsp to make the down payment, and you just have to pay back within 15 years or something like that. So that helps you save towards your first mortgage. So yeah, I would say, if you feel like, I'm not going to be able to do the savings myself, I'll just have these people take it from source, and then it's in my Rrsp and I can use it for my mortgage. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Quincy. Actually, I'll take one more from one of our students. So the question, Lamo, you can go ahead and answer this one. What can a university student do who just started working in terms of practical steps they can take to invest? What are your thoughts on applications like Wealthsimple and Forex trading, things like that?
All right. So again, I'm talking from a personal standpoint, so please, if not applicable to you, feel free to. But as a student that's making money and you're looking to invest, I've heard about Forex. I probably tried every sort of quick rich scheme in the books, and I probably lost money in a lot of these things. So I don't, but in terms of investing, I always try to tell people like the quickest way to make money is the quickest way to lose money. Also, that same road is, so you want to find where the slow and steady path is. For me personally, what I have done is I do like use Wealthsimple. In fact, that was how I got in, like one of the vehicles I used when I graduated from school and I was making money. And so it's not a wealth, the automated investment aspect of Wealthsimple is a healthy one, where they have people that are professionals and like tech gurus somewhere up in Toronto Bay Street that helps give you, they basically look at your risk profile from like the forms, and they basically give you a portfolio that fits your risk profile. Please be honest with your risk profile too. Obviously, as young people, we think we can lose all the money in the world and it's fine, so we go on the high risk. But please just be reasonable with the risk profile if you're trying to do any form of long-term investing with and in practice. So practically, I would advise you to use the Wealthsimple Invest. I wouldn't advise you to use the Wealthsimple Trade, where you're individually picking out stocks and trading those stocks, except you know something way more than most of us, and feel free to go ahead. But practically, I would tell you to use the ETFs that Wealthsimple as to the automated investment. You're willing to gain what you're willing to risk for your gain on what you can lose. And it's all automated. So you can set up an Rrsp on Wealthsimple. You can set up a TFSA on Wealthsimple. You can set up even a savings, high interest savings account on Wealthsimple, where they give you about 1%. I know when COVID hit, most of the high interest savings accounts dropped drastically in percentage. So watch out for that. That would be a practical thing to use. And most people have told to be practical. I've told them to just open up a simple Wealthsimple account and invest it and leave the money there, and they will do whatever they want to do. It's almost like a mutual fund, but it's low cost and a bit smarter than going to the banks. I'm not sure. So my bias on banks may be old school and may not have made the right one. When I did go to the bank, I did not know that the bank advisors do get charged a commission and they're not fiducial to my needs. So again, it might have changed. So feel free to do your research if you think Wealthsimple, if you think the bank is actually your best option. Again, but yes, I would say do the simple investments. If you think you have more money to throw away, then you can do the trade and the Forex, but those are really, really risky. Those are really, really speculations, like we saw in one of the slides. Those are really, really, so they are no fundamentals to that. And that's, again, from my perspective, and that's what I have done. If that does not work for you, I'm not offended at all.
All right, thank you so much. I really like the tagline there, that the quickest way to make money is also the quickest way to lose money. Maybe touch a little bit more on what you mean by that. What are some of those get rich quick schemes? Some people end up in things like credit card fraud, even because just for the sake of the students, to make sure that somebody is not talking them into something that.
So yes. A lot of things when I came to Canada 2010, 2011. So let me give some context so it doesn't seem like I'm dumb and just jumping into quick. I've always wanted to retire early. I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home dad and retire when I'm 30. I'm clocking 30 and I'm like, nah, I don't want to. I'm still gonna be working when I'm 30. But either way, so that's what I was thinking when I just joined school. So I was thinking of just what I know, like I have to do 4 years and then I have to find a job. That is too long of a time for me to find money. I wanted to get money quick. So starting from like my second year while I was in BC, I got introduced to multi-level marketing, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually the quickest way to make money. Yes. I'm going around. Instead of me preaching gospel, I'm preaching during my multi-level marketing. It worked for some people. Again, that's why I always give the caveat. It could work. There's some people that it worked for. It was just not. It did not match my personality type. and I basically lost. It wasn't a lot of money, but I was paying like yearly about $100, like and then they were promising me that if I get a few people here, if I sell a few products here, I'll make a lot of money. So I'm really, right now my ears are deaf when you tell me there's a multi-level marketing like opportunity that I can join. Yeah, you've lost me. It's like, I'm almost like, don't touch. What else did I try? I also tried Forex and options. I didn't try Forex, but it was options trading. So what was that? It was pretty much you're betting on, it's sort of betting, but you're just basically saying that the price of an option is going to be either above this level or below this level. I literally sat down in one sitting. I was in my 4th year, I believe, or 3rd year, and you would think I would be smart by now, and I'm doing mathematics and physics, right? So I literally sat down in one sitting, and it's like, all right, I put like $10 and it became $20. I was like, interesting. And the person that told me to be careful. And then when the person left, I was like, this guy does not want me to make a lot of money. So Saturday morning, while everybody's sleeping, I basically withdraw. I put a paper, and this was before they actually banned it from being illegal in Canada, or basically they just pushed the company away from Canada either ways. I woke up early Saturday morning. I was like, time to double all the money I have. And that was how, long story short, I lost about $2,000 that sitting. And then it was like, all right. I was depressed for like a week or something. And then I was not necessarily depressed. I was just like, well, it's like I had cold shower I just put on my face, basically. I just had like a quick cold shower. And I just realized, well, that was something foolish. But in the moment you think you're trying to be smart. And then finally, the last thing I tried before just realizing that I have to be slow, I didn't really lose money on it at the time. When Bitcoin came initially, I was one of the first people to like set up, because it was a bit technical. So I didn't really lose money, but I was like, it's not quick enough. And I just stopped making, I just withdrew all, maybe I lost like $2 or something, but I just withdrew all my got back card. So I learned the hard way that slow and steady wins the race, and I have been slow and steady either way. And the only thing I take risk on, actually, so I don't take risk on, but I do take risk on starting businesses. So I've started a bunch of businesses that have worked, have not worked, have gotten investments, have not gotten investments. So I do take risk on hard work. I have an idea, I can actually fulfill this idea. I'm going to build a business out of it. I'm not hoping to make money here, but I'm hoping that in the long run, the business is going to grow. So I've taken risk on businesses, but I've learned that you cannot double your money quick, or you can double your money quick and have your money at the same time quick too. So that's all the embarrassing stories. I think someone raised their hand. Tolu raised their hand. So.
Yeah, just before then, let me just add to that. Getting rich quick is a focus on material wealth, as we said earlier. If that is your focus, it's bound to be you could be very lucky, but then that's not healthy when you're hoping to be lucky, right? We're talking about financial intelligence and financial health here. So any get rich quick scheme can go south very quickly. So yeah, again, the scripture that was Matthew 6:19-21, about not storing treasures for us. It's not about maximizing treasures here. And that's another thing that I realized that we didn't hammer on very toughly is investment in the kingdom of God is very important, especially as we're Christians. And yes, we should make sure that so that our heart is always, safe up there in the heavens, right? We should have heavenly investments too, and they also yield very high. You'd be surprised. I can't share any personal stories off the top of my head. What I can share that is personal, that answers another question that was asked, is on investing in children. I didn't say this, but yeah, we do have an RESP account, or well, a couple of RESP accounts for both our children. And we also have savings accounts for them where all the money that's given to them is kept, and also where we contribute to them on a kind of monthly basis. And it doesn't have to be anything grand. It could be $10, it could be 20, it could be 200. But what it is after 18 years, it becomes a whole lot of money, and that can be very helpful.
Sorry, Sam, can you just repeat the question again?
Your thoughts on digital marketing?
Oh yeah, so I think that's crucial, and that's part of starting a side hustle and starting a business. One thing I've also learned by starting a lot of businesses is like you like even if you have all the best ideas, even if you're talented, even if you have like the way to make money, even if you have the ideas to make money and you can build those ideas, you cannot go anywhere without any sort of marketing or sales. And I've also learned that a lot quickly. And most of the businesses like I started, the successful ones had really good sales and marketing partners, and the ones that did not go well like had just probably me that did not do anything about sales and marketing. So yeah, digital marketing is crucial, especially in the 21st century world, putting the word out there that, hey, I started this hobby of mine, I'm taking a bit of money for it, please support me. And I love when seeing people that starting stuff and I can support and I can get some like I can support them. So digital marketing is crucial because no one will know that you have built something or you have a side hustle that without telling them that you have it. And just to tie it back, just be honest, please. Just so we have integrity. You don't promise like you're able to like cure cancer, but they come and they pay money and you cannot cure. So just have that honesty when you're doing about digital marketing. But I think it's really crucial in this world. I don't know if Mr. Tolu is ready to ask his question.
I don't know if he has, but yeah, thank you so much, Quincy and Lamo. With all this talk about side hustles, hopefully MFH will be seeing a bunch of new businesses by the end of the year. And when next we meet to be more in terms of talking to entrepreneurs and business owners about their journey so far and how we can continue to support them. With that in mind, I'm going to call on our second sponsor for today's event, Mama Sports. She has sponsored 2 gift cards, and she's going to share briefly about what Mama Sports is all about. Over to you, Asinike. I'm going to put up your slides.
Thank you so much, the coordinator for today, and everyone that has spoken, and everyone that been part of this. Before you asked me to talk about Mama Sport, before I talk about Mama Sport, just want to say 1 or 2 things. I want to say what I've learned today, even with my age. I have learned that you have to learn something new, and it's never too late to learn something new. Now to the student among us, he said, take 1 hour a day to learn something new. So in my own word, and I said, this will keep you busy and free from vices. If you invest 1 hour a day to do something new, by the end of the year, you will see where you will have gotten yourself to, compared to when you are idle doing nothing or just wasting away. So that takes me to Mama Sport. It's my hobby, right? I love to cook. And then we just thought that, okay, this can actually be taken to another level. And you know, in Canada, before you do anything, if you go to sweep, you have to go for certification. It's part of learning something new. We went for certification, food handling course, and which asked certificate for 5 years. The previous one expired. So during the COVID, when we were home. Okay, by the way, you all know that I'm a student. I'm running a PhD, which I'm trying to round up now. So I'm a very busy person. I have 4 children that I look to, and by the grace of God, I have a ministry that I oversee. So when you see somebody is busy, that is me. But then I just turned my passion to my hobby. Is it hobby or passion to something that will give me extra? And by the grace of God, it's working. I can tell you it's working. So when somebody said that, can you turn your passion or your hobby to something that will generate something extra? Oh yes, why not? So I'm saying Mama Sport is for everyone. And trust is, I was asking my children yesterday that, okay, let's come together, group. Is it continental or intercontinental food? Somebody said, just say Nigerian food. So it's just Nigerian food, just from home, from Mama Sport. And trust me, if I know you personally, or if we know you personally, we're going to give you some discount. So we all form of Nigerian food, even pap, ogi, akam, whatever you call it, anything you want. Just go to join us on the social media. Instagram, Facebook, and we have our email there to support us, to patronize us. That's the word, patronize us. And you can be sure that you'll be treated very, very well. So that's Mama Spot for you. So I'm so grateful and very happy to support this seminar, financial seminar, with the gift card. And whoever wins it, make sure you come and book. You go to website and book for Mama Spot. If you don't book, I'll run after you. Thank you so much once again for this opportunity. And I just pray that this seminar will yield new startup company. What's your passion? What do you know how to do? Do you know how to talk? Do you know how to do graphic? Instead of wasting your time away running and joining gangs, turn your passion to something that will bless your life eventually, and that will bless the Church of God. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your sponsorship here. So 2 gift cards also learned something today, so I'm glad for that as well. Want to say a very big thank you to our speakers today, Quincy and Lemuel, for sharing of their wisdom. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who was involved in the planning, in the preparation, in making this event a reality. And I want to say thank you to everybody who has made it here today. It's our first MFH Academy session of the year, and I'm really excited about the turnout and what the feedback has been so far. Like I said before, by the end of this year, we'll be talking about speaking with different business owners within the MFH family. So really looking forward to that. After the event, we'll send out a link for feedback, just to kind of get everybody's thoughts on the event so far. So please feel free to put in your thoughts there, so we can make sure we are doing things right. We will definitely appreciate that. Without much ado, we would like to bring this event to a close.